this is the movie that everyone wants to keep calling a masterpiece. This is a movie that has made over $1 billion at the box office. This is the movie that had its soundtrack nominated for a freaking Grammy. Okay. Personally, I don't see it. Now, keep in mind, I still think this is a good movie. Just because I don't agree with most people with the super high praising, it doesn't mean I think the movie's automatically bad. It has a lot of problems. A lot that many overlook, and if you do, that's fine. Everyone's entitled to their opinion or however they want to watch a movie. But I'm sorry, like, even now, I just don't get it. Like, the sequel is way better for numerous reasons, and we'll get to it when we get to it. But for now, let's talk about this movie and why I think it's just decent. And I trust you, I'm not crapping on the actor's legacy or anything like that. I'm simply just sharing my opinion. And no, I'm not racist either, so do not leave those things in the comments below or I will report you. Okay? That's your only warning. Why am I saying all of this right up front? Well, because this is one of those movies that I've been a bit nervous to talk about. Not because I think it's bad or anything. It is still a good movie. But because people love it and praise it so much that anyone that tries to, I don't know, knock it down a few pegs, yeah, the response isn't usually the best. And some people get a little bit overly defensive. So, naturally, I have avoided talking about this movie up to this point. But since we are going through all the Marvel projects that I have not already previously reviewed in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I can't just skip over this one. So, let me say this right up front. If you love this movie, please continue to love it. This is nothing more than my personal, subjective opinion. And if you can enjoy it more than I can, that's an awesome thing. That's the great thing about film. The way that we all have our different preferences, our different opinions, our different tastes. That's what makes film discussions so fascinating and interesting. If we all just liked the same thing every time, it would get boring quick. So having something where we kind of divert a little bit, that is a really nice thing. Now, granted, it doesn't always result in the nicest of outcomes, but still, film discussion is fascinating because everyone has a different preference to something. So, just keep that in mind before you start trying to attack me in the comments. This movie's good, but it's not great. And I'm going to talk about why. And if me just saying that is going to upset you, just walk out right now. Because I don't want to make these videos to upset people. I don't want to make these videos to look like I'm offending anyone or that I'm, disgracing an actor's legacy or something like that. I make these reviews because I want to be informative. I make these reviews to share my opinion. I make these reviews out of pure, blunt, brutal honesty. Even if sometimes it gets me some heat. So with all that said, let's talk about Black Panther. What's up? What's happening? What's going on? Everybody, welcome back to Mr. Station, which is our everything animation, including Marvel heroes uniting for the fate of the world, as well as TV and movies. I'm your host, Chadson Small. Welcome back to Marvelous May. Here's my review of Black Panther. Pure, blunt, brutal, tough love honesty. It has great things about it, and we're going to talk about them, but this is going to be tough love, because even when it first came out, I didn't get what other people were seeing. However, I do know, and I do acknowledge, that Black Panther has become a huge symbol of inspiration and empowerment for the African American community. And I think that's a great thing. It's great that that community has their own hero that they can attach to. But again, here's the thing about film. It's all about different opinions, and everyone's going to have a different say. Unless you're a shill. then you just say the same thing every time. Anyway, with all that out of the way, for those of you that have stuck around up to this point, to hear me talk about this movie and to hear my pure, honest opinion, and you're not going to be a salty douche in my comment section, let's press on, shall we? Here's my review of Black Panther. This is one of those movies that is so incredibly highly acclaimed by most that I just don't really get. I'm more than well aware of how much of an uplifting symbol Black Panther has become culture-wise because of this movie, and how passionate the late great Chadwick Boseman, may he rest in peace, amazing actor, was about the role. But even on rewatch, I just don't see that masterpiece that everyone else does. And I don't see a billion-dollar movie either. Black Panther is a decent film that is plenty entertaining, but just a tad overrated. Boseman is amazing as T'Challa. He was amazing in Civil War, and he's even more amazing here because he gets the full spotlight. Pacing is excellent. It's slower than some other MCU movies, but it's not boring by any means. Action is mostly pretty fun. You do get the fun, goofy, comic booky action that you come to these movies for. The humor is really good. This is another one of those movies in the MCU that's actually really funny. Mainly because of Okoye and her snarkiness. Runtime is solid. It's not too long, it's not too short. It's perfectly adamant. And in my opinion, the best part of the entire movie by a mile, and the one thing that I do agree gets the high praise that it deserves, the greatest villain in the MCU since Loki in Michael B. Jordan's now absolutely iconic performance as Eric Killmonger, which is undoubtedly his best role since Adonis Creed, as he's one of the few times Marvel did a sympathetic villain correctly. Maybe even too well, as more often than not he's so good in his role that he actually overshadows Boseman on some occasions. Like, Michael B. Jordan should have gotten a Best Supporting Actor Oscar nomination, because he is amazing as Killmonger. He takes what would usually be just a throwaway villain in the comics and turns him into an incredible, fascinating character that you sympathize with despite being the antagonist. And Michael B. Jordan, his performance as his character, it's poignant, it's heartbreaking, and it is all kinds of badass. Like, he is the best part of the movie. No offense to Chadwick Boseman, he is also amazing in his role, but Killmonger is the thing that I remember the most from this movie. All because of Michael B. Jordan. This is an amazing performance by him, and even though I do think he's a little better as Adonis Creed, mainly because he's played that role more than once, which technically not a fair comparison, but you get my point. He's still amazing in this role. Like, I freaking love Michael B. Jordan's Eric Killmonger. By far the best part of the movie. However, this one is very, very flawed. Like I said, it's not a great movie, and it's because it has some pretty big issues. Now, granted, there are issues that a lot of people overlook, because sometimes you just go to a movie to turn your brain off and have fun. Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm a horror fan. I know that better than anyone. But still, when you actually look at it analytically and don't turn your brain off and take off your rose-colored glasses, there's a lot of issues. A legitimate lot of issues. The rest of the characters are pretty hit or miss. Like, some of them are great. Like, I love all the High Council people in Wakanda. All those people are great. Especially Shuri and I forget her name, but the one that is played by Angela Bassett. Those two are great. Okoye, I already talked about her. She's hilarious and so blunt and snarky, and she has some of the funniest lines in the movie. Like, those characters are great. But other people, like this weird arms dealer guy with the robotic arm, I don't care about him. I don't care about him at all. He's pretty much exactly like Crossbones from Civil War. He's played by an actor that most people know, but he is a very much throwaway, wasted villain. Heck, he's not even really a villain. He barely does anything. The main villain of this movie is Killmonger. This other guy just happens to be here. Story is almost as straightforwardly basic as Doctor Strange. Yeah, this movie's story is pretty basic. You can pretty much predict everything that's going to happen, and it does get to the point of being repetitious. The diplomacy scenes can drag along a little too long. Like, I don't hate the diplomacy scenes. I usually really like these kind of moments because it's where characters get to just sit down and talk about things. And it's done... Usually it's done in a really good way, like each one has a very compelling argument and you don't know which side to take. Which is why I love the dynamic between Captain America and Iron Man so much, because they have a back and forth with each other constantly. But here, it does drag on a bit, and it does focus a little too much on that aspect. The CGI is hilariously bad. This is the first indicator of what would become, unfortunately, a recurring problem in the MCU post-Endgame. That being that the CGI is absolutely terrible. Like, I don't know if it was the budget, I don't know if it was the angles, I didn't know if it was the lighting, but something about this movie just looks bad. That CGI... Like, it's bad. It's bad, and it looks so beyond fake. Rewatchability is low. I only rewatch this movie every once in a while. Sorry. The music that people acclaim so highly is mediocre at best. I'm sorry, I'm not a fan of the soundtrack. Especially the King is Dead theme thing with Future and all those other people. No. That song makes me want to drill my eardrums out. That song is terrible. But All the Stars, on the other hand, with Kendrick Lamar and SZA, that song's amazing. That song I really like. And the instrumental score for like the action scenes and stuff like that, it's not bad per se, but it's just kind of forgettable. It feels like every other comic book movie score. Like, it's formulaic. That's the word. It's formulaic. And the final act is an ugly, rushed mess with the worst CGI in the whole movie. Even the people that praise this movie cannot defend the final battle between Killmonger and Black Panther, because it is entirely CGI and it looks absolutely god-awful. Like, I don't know who okayed that. I don't know if it was something that they did as a budget cut. I don't know, but for whatever reason, the final battle, which is supposed to be the best part of any Marvel movie, sucks hard in this because of the CGI being so bad it makes everything look like a PS1 game. It's pretty bad. It is really, really bad. Overall, though, while it's heavily damaged, this is still a perfectly good, watchable installment in the MCU. And if you're one of those who love this one, please continue to love it. It's just not for me. Jordan and Boseman do a lot of the heavy lifting, but it's still a good film, and I respect Marvel for having the balls to tackle something more culturally significant instead of just retreading old ground again. Give it a try and see where you fall on it. Like, some really love it, some really don't. Me, I'm kind of in the middle. I think the movie's decent, I think it is good, but I don't think that it's great. It has some big problems, and even now, those problems are still pretty persistent. So, I've talked about the pros, I've talked about the cons, let's get to the final verdict. For all of you that are still here, probably all 2 people that are still here, knowing the internet, final verdict for Black Panther is going to be a 6 out of 10. It's a decent movie, it's a one-and-done movie, you watch it just to say that you watched it and get the world-building aspects for the overall MCU. But outside of that, it's pretty meh, and it is a huge drop-off after Thor Ragnarok. Bummer. I really wanted to like this one more because I love the villain so much, but I just can't. This movie has so many problems that it just... they become more apparent with every watch. It's far from the worst of the MCU, but it's far from the best either. Do you know what is the best, though? Or among the best, I should say. The next movie we get to talk about. Because the next one is, next one's pretty freaking great, dude. And it's one that I'm sure a lot of you have been waiting to hear my thoughts on ever since I started doing this marathon. So, thanks for watching. I will see you next time for Avengers Infinity War.